how important do you think luck has been in your success, or do you think that it was going to be inevitable that you got to where you are?
Oh no! If I'd been born, if luck's probably 51% of it, it's probably.
I agree.
Look, the most important decision you can make is where and when you're born. I mean, and it's not your decision. If I'd been born,
but I think luck is more important even on a micro scale. Like I believe on the macro scale of in America during the internet, I happen to have those abilities. But then on a more micro scale, I happened to pick the right industry at the right time, and then also I didn't get sick for certain meetings, or like 100%. I remember when we sold our company, the buyer got into a life-threatening accident 2 weeks after the deal closed. If it would have happened 2 weeks before, maybe that could have changed everything.
Oh, the most rewarding thing in my life right now is that I have a partner who I've built this wealth with, who does an amazing job as a mom, and we just love spending time together. And that's because I decided to go to the Raleigh Hotel on a Sunday afternoon and had the gumption to approach a woman and say hi in the middle of the day at a hotel. I'm being born. If I'd been born in 1920s Germany as a male, I would have probably ended up dead on a Russian field somewhere. If I had gone to the University of Texas at Austin, where I enrolled, I probably would have ended up in energy, which hasn't performed nearly as well as tech, where I ended up because I went to Berkeley. I didn't have some passion for tech. It's just coming out of Berkeley in the 90s, you ended up in tech. Then I'm living in San Francisco. So I struck gold accidentally a bunch of times. What I will say, though, is that you're in a certain range because of when and where you're born. That's the key. My parents were never going to recognize or register the success I've registered. If I'd been born in Europe, I couldn't have been as successful as I am because they don't tolerate failure, and I've had a lot of failure. If I'd been born in China, I might have ended up in prison because I'm outspoken and kind of immature and reckless with my words sometimes, and that doesn't go over well there. So being born in 60s California as a white heterosexual male was hitting the lottery. My roommate died of AIDS. Like, how fucking unlucky is that? It wasn't his choice to be gay. It wasn't my choice to be straight. I end up here talking to you, living in Marylebone. He died at 33 of full-blown AIDS. So to not acknowledge just how ridiculously fucking lucky I am would be an insult to the universe. Now, what I will say is that's not in your control, but there are some things in your control. So you want to focus on the things that are in your control. And you want to build a lot of social, goodwill in terms of character, helping people out, investing in relationships, working really hard. I mean, really hard. Not being afraid of risk, not being afraid of public failure. I mean, all of these things help me score at the high end of my range, because even the other people who are blessed with the same good fortune as me, I ended up probably scoring above average. And also taking advantage of the fact that America doesn't embrace failure. That's bullshit, but we tolerate it. And 1 in 7 businesses, 6 in 7 businesses fail, which means 1 in 7 succeed. So you know what I did, Sam? I started 9 businesses and 2 or 3 were successful. I was never afraid to fail and then start again, right? You didn't sell your hot dog stand for $30 million. So luck plays a huge role, but over time, if you want to be at the top of kind of your caste or your, if I'd been born in Rwanda, that wouldn't have been, I just wouldn't have the same opportunities. But I like to think that some of the character and drive and investments in other people and reverence for relationships would have meant that wherever I was in that weight class, I would have been at the top. But it all came together. To not acknowledge how fortunate I am, it would just be an insult. And the thing that really bugs the shit out of me is some of the wealthiest people in America, basically tech bros, conflate luck with talent. They didn't start their EV companies, their social media platforms.
What's an example?
Countries.
What's an example?
Well, name the Peter Thiel, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Chamath Palihapitiya.
Well, a lot of success. I think a large amount of successful people are humble enough to admit that there's a luck component, but yeah, there's many who aren't.
I find there's a virus in the tech community of billionaires who make a lot of money in their 30s who are under the impression it's all about them. And if you look up and down the geography of the United States, across the West Coast, there's multi-trillion-dollar or multi-hundred-billion-dollar companies littered along the West Coast. And then you get to Canada, and then you have to go all the way to Lululemon in Vancouver, and you get to San Diego, and you got to go all the way to Mercado Libre or Nubank in Brazil or in Argentina To be born in the U.S. or have access to immigration status to get in the United States is hitting the lottery. And then to engage in start shitposting America at every turn and talking about how awful America is just obnoxious. And the people who are most loyal, patriotic to America are the people who have invested the most, and that is our veterans. And I find that some of these tech bros at the age in their 30s who are all about them, move to, I just find it obnoxious. I don't think they have, there's another virus that infects young people in tech, and that is they conflate luck with talent. They don't register how fortunate they are. To your point, I think the majority of very wealthy people, I do not demonize rich people, the majority of very wealthy people are good people. And that's one of the reasons they're wealthy, is that if you want to be wealthy...
It's hard to kick ass without giving value. I mean, I think it's hard to have a long career by being an asshole. Some people are able to pull it. Some people pull it off, though.
If you want to be really successful, you have to collect allies along the way. You have to be put in a room of opportunities, even when you're physically not in that room. Oh, I just met somebody who has an open position at this cool firm. Lisa would be great for that. I'm going to follow up with her and give Lisa a personal recommendation. Google did a study. Their product manager there did a study and said, when we have an open position, we get 200 CVs. We bring in 20. We get 200 within an hour. We bring in 20. And 80% of the time, the one person we give the offer to is championed by and friends with someone inside of Google. So if you want to be successful, start investing in relationships. Be kind, be generous, help other people out. You want allies. And there is a myth that wealthy people are not good people, that they're Monty Burns lighting cigars, with $100 bills. That's not true. The majority of wealthy people I meet, distinct of what I'll call this virus in Silicon Valley of young tech bros who are billionaires, are good people. They're high character people. Wealth is a full person project.